stream just recapping the game of UConn versus South Carolina. This will be like a voiceover. Then I'll make this a private video. I doubt anybody will show up to this. I'll be amazed if anybody shows up. But anyway, my general thoughts of the game. Well, we wanted at least I wanted the Disney happy ending and certainly got that. So everything, if you're a UConn fan, that you wanted to have happen, happened basically. Paige Beckers gets to ride off into the sunset, and Gino Auriemma gets to say, hey, the way we've been doing it, if we have all our parts, then we will win, and we will win championships like we've always done. Essentially, we've had a nightmare of 5 years, and yeah, here's the plan. We will follow through. Hey, somebody's joined. I can't believe it. Hey, just to give you some context, I'm waiting for my daughter in the airport. So with this live stream, it's I'm happy to take questions and everything, but I'm just more putting down my thoughts, and then I'll edit this when I get home. So that's essentially what I'm doing here. Oh my God, 3 people! I can't believe it. Must be all the way in the morning right now. Hold on, let me switch my camera. Can y'all hear me all right? If you can, I'm just doing my general takes on this game. So I don't want that close up of me. Have a nice look at the Canberra sunset. Yeah, I'm just doing a general voiceover of this game and my thoughts, but happy to talk about it and everything else. But yeah, my thoughts on the game were got your happy ending. Gino, it just and he said this at the beginning of the preseason. It was interesting. He's like, I think when we're healthy and we have all our parts, we're still in this thing. And essentially that's what happened. So UConn had all their parts, put it together, and then Sarah Strong was as good as advertised. There's just no doubt about that. She went for, what did she go for? God, I can't read my notes. She went for 24 points on 10 of 15. She can get inside and outside, and she's just so good. I thought Tarasi made a good point. I can't remember if it was Bird or Tarasi saying she doesn't have to hunt for her points either. That just happens naturally through the flow of the game, which I agree with. It's just like she just gets points and you look up and you're like, oh, okay, she's in the post now taking advantage of a mismatch. Oh, she's out and they've left her alone. She's drilling a 3-pointer. Just makes the game so much easier. And then when you have AZ FUD going off as well. So she definitely left Spokane behind. And it's so good for her because she had obviously a rough run with the knee injury. And I got to tell you, after she injured herself in Louisville, because I didn't think that Louisville when she went down with the knee. I think it was Louisville. I'll have to check on that, but I just didn't think there was a lot of contact there. I was like, oh, is this knee going to make it throughout the whole season? My big hope for AZ FUD was I was hoping, man, I hope she can play 20 minutes and stay the season healthy and make progress. I just never saw her getting back to this level this year, and I think it's fantastic. You know the whole story. Like her mom's really invested in her, and her mom lost her career due to her knee injury. Her dad was just didn't want her to go to the tournament in Colorado when she originally injured her knee. So I think it was a fantastic result. So I'm happy for them. And then Beckers and Gina Auriemma, their relationship, I find it so fascinating. Um, he's the type of player, or she's the type of player that he loves. I think he generally loves the cocky player who really backs themselves. Like he'll coach all sorts of players, and he's a master psychologist. But I think the ones he really enjoys, like a Diana Taurasi or a Paige Beckers, that just have irrational confidence, and he has to reel them in a little bit to try to get it his way, and that little bit of a battle. And you could just tell he had relief because in a lot of ways he senses if I get one of these generational players to come to UConn, he feels a sense of responsibility that he wants them to get the championship, show them the way to do that. And you could tell that he felt that when she went through, that she got it. And that's essentially what happened. That's what I saw in his eyes, is just relief that she got it. And then with Paige Beckers, you saw the relief in her eyes that, I've lived up to the hype. If I would have left without a championship, I would have had the mantra of best UConn player never to win a championship. And oh, she's gotten all this NIL straight from high school. She was overhyped and never delivered. That was the worry for her. And he said the whole time, like in the press conference, he was great in the press conference saying we had to the whole day I was saying the basketball gods can't get us all the way to the championship game and let us fall short. If we were going to lose, we were going to lose before this. The basketball gods owe us, and that's essentially what happened. The other thing that was interesting on his part was he was just like, the whole day, he wasn't worried about an acceptance speech. It was more, what would he say to the press if they lost this game? And let me tell you, like the last video I had, it was like South Carolina better bring their A game. And I had a few comments from Carolina fans on that. And I'm not the guy that goes back to the comments and says, oh, you got it wrong. I hate that. So South Carolina should be backing their team. They won their championships and they're a hell of a team. And I think they did a hell of a job to get there. But in this game, for the first like 5 minutes, they brought their A game. It was great basketball that first quarter. It was back and forth, and there's a large debate. I keep on getting people throw me comments saying, "Oh, the defense, you're just overlooking the UConn defense." The UConn defense is great, but it's the pressure they put on the offense on other teams that, oh my goodness, we've got to score every time down, because if we miss a shot, it allows UConn to get into transition, push the ball, and really allow them to set the pace essentially, and that's essentially um, that's what I think UConn does, because they have those three players, and one of them is going to go off. Is it going to be AZ? Is it going to be Paige? Or is it going to be Sarah Strong? And if two of them go off, you're fine. The whole thing before the game, and I thought it too, was like, oh, UConn needs to shoot well from 3-point range to be able to win this game like they did last time. Like, I think they shot a ridiculous number. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'm pretty sure they shot like 40% from three in the last game. Well, this game, they got outshot by South Carolina. Like, they both hit 4 3-pointers, but I think UConn took 17 3-pointers. I think that's right. Or do I have my, oh God, I can't even read my notes here. Yeah, I think UConn made four 3-pointers off 17 shots. I think South Carolina made 4 3-pointers off 16 shots. So they lost that battle and still won this game easily by 27 points. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And you could see, I mean, basically in the fourth quarter, South Carolina threw in the towel. And they'll say, I'm sure all the players on the court tried and hustled as best they could, but you knew Dawn was waving the white flag when she had her backup point guard in there, Madison. Who is it? Who's the backup point guard? I can't remember. Maddie McDaniel. When she was in there, you're like, oh my goodness, she's really desperate for a spark, or wants to give a freshman some time to help prepare. I thought Dawn Staley was great in the post game as well. She said they kicked our butts and just we'll be back and all the things, and effusive in praise for her seniors like she should be. I thought, again, Auriemma was great. Beckers was great, giving love to all her teammates, exactly what you'd expect. And I thought it was good. I know some will complain and say, oh my goodness, it was a terrible game. But man, I just think it's overall just beautiful basketball when UConn plays well. And this game wasn't their best game. In a lot of ways, I still stand by, and people will rubbish me in the comments maybe, but I still stand by my thoughts that the UCLA game was more of a threat for UConn, and that's why I think they were so dialed in on that game. I thought they knew they could be going home if that game goes well. If they shoot poorly, and you can never control how you shoot, but I just think they were dialed in because they knew they needed to bring their A game, or it could get away quickly with because UCLA was potentially strong in the one area they weren't. UCLA has lots and lots of height and kill people on the boards. And if they didn't get their rebounds, then they were going to have a tough night. And against South Carolina, UConn struggled with the rebounds early on, but then in the second half, it just equaled out. UConn just got after them on the boards, and that just really evened that out. And then the third quarter, they just wore them down. South Carolina couldn't make their shots, and you could just feel the game slipping away. And then once it was 20, everybody knew there was no way they were coming back against UConn. Um, what other thoughts did I think? It's interesting the whole will Gino return or not. Like it was interesting in the press conference. I remember early on in the season when he was talking and somebody asked him about retirement and great players, and he's like, "That's the trap of coaching. Of do I owe it to the players to see this player out?" And I but and he talked about there's never a good time to leave if you keep on saying, "Oh, I'll see this great player through." Well, he's gotten Sarah Strong her championship. I think he's coming back because I don't see any way. AZ Fudd's coming back, so I don't see any way that he says, "Hey, AZ Fudd is coming back and I'm gonna go." So I definitely see him coming back, but how much longer does he have in the tank? That's the question. I'm not sure, but man, I like watching, or I listened to a podcast called The Press Box, and they talk about the segment, "The old guy still gots it," and that's with Auriemma. That would be the classic thing with Auriemma. He still has it. If you see him in the press conferences, he still is locked on. Yeah. How about Dawn not using? Here, I'll answer this question before I go. How about Dawn not using a break? I don't know what she could have done. That train was going. Maybe she could have taken her timeouts. I thought Gino's timeout was quite good when he got them organized. When was it when he took his timeout? Was that in the second quarter where he got them regathered? You could argue that, but either way, going into that game, Gino was going in with the better team. There was no two ways about it. Gino had the 3 stars, and she did well to get them there. So I'm not losing my mind over that. I don't think timeout execution would have changed the outcome of this game, in my opinion. I think it was always going to go this way. So no, I'm not crushing Dawn on her use of timeouts. I think she did a great job of getting South Carolina to the championship game because she didn't have the horses this year. Like the loss of Watkins really, really hurt South Carolina in my mind. And I think when you don't have the better team, regardless of what you do, you're gonna wind up losing. Any other questions? What else did I think? I can't even remember what I was talking about before, but yeah, the what else am I thinking? Oh, about Gino's retirement or will he not retire? Yeah, I it was interesting as well. Another thing he talked about is most 70-year-olds, his friends, like he's younger than them. Like the kids keep him young, and you can tell he's enjoying what he's doing, and he knows that he still has an impact. The other interesting thing he said in the press conference was talking about how UConn really flipped after they beat South Carolina. Like when they got back, it was like the players realized, okay, this is why you're crushing us so much in practice. This is why we do what we do. And he just said the focus after the South Carolina game just gave, he didn't say it, but it gave the players belief that, yeah, we're on the right track here. We're going to do what we do and we're going to crush everybody. And that's essentially what happened, which is amazing. I'm not on the airstrip. No, I'm at the airport waiting for my daughter. She's coming back from a triathlon. Yeah, so I'm just in standing, and this is the driving out. But I know I'm not on the airstrip. But I'm not going to turn the phone around and have it face me because the camera looks awful on my face. So my plan is to make this unlisted when I get home, and then put clips in there and just go for a usual video. See if I can make a video out of it. Because in Australia right now, it's like 6:50 and I haven't done a voiceover because I've had work all day. So it's been a crazy day for me. I got up at 4 to watch this game or watch the pregame. And then after that, watch the game and then just had meetings all day while trying to watch the game and keep my eye on it. So it's been pretty interesting for me. Um, yeah, so with Gino, I definitely see him coming back for a year because he still has impact on the players and still the way he shaped and put together this team, it's perfect. And the other thing is just you can see I don't know how he does it. It was the same thing. Like Um, it teaches me like I'll never learn my lesson. But last year, I thought UConn was going to lose versus USC. I thought their big guards were going to overwhelm UConn, and shame on me. Sure enough, they just played that just their best game of the year. I thought last year was versus USC. They were sharp and everything worked just like you'd have it in your mind's eye. And much like that, that's what I saw versus UCLA, which again crushes back to sports on my ridiculous picks. I really thought UCLA would give them a game that could be a struggle for UConn, but once they got through that, uh, just South Carolina matches up poorly against UConn as well. They and then for next year, let's talk about South Carolina. Um, South Carolina for next year, it'll be interesting. So they've got Tessa Johnson in the post game. In the post game, Dom was already talking about the portal. So I don't know if they're getting Latson or not. Um, I've speculated before. I don't know what Fulwiley's doing. Others say that Fulwiley ride or die with South Carolina, which fine. I don't know what any players are doing now in the portal anymore. So I wonder if Fulwiley will be back, and she probably will. And then, yeah, I think Tessa Johnson at one off guard. And then I think it'll be Fulwiley battling it out with Maddie McDaniel, and then whoever they bring in. If they bring in Latson, yeah, I just wonder how that'll work. Yeah, I can see that a high risk, high reward sort of bring in if they're able to bring her in. I don't see Olivia Miles going to South Carolina. But like I say, I don't know where anybody's going. I'm not going to make predictions on where people are going or what they're going to do because that's such a dangerous game. Where is Olivia Miles going to go? I still think Duke, but take it with a grain of salt because I thought she was going to go to. I had USC. I thought it'd be like a rent a player for a year, and she would star and showcase her talents while the other kids got bigger or better. And but then Avery Howell decides to transfer out, and now they look like they're a mess. And then of course Notre Dame with Caval leaving, they look like a mess as well. I just yeah, so you don't know where all the pieces are going to land. But the other one I'm curious about, Miriam Dowda, how much more time will she get next year? Um, yeah, Kentucky. I thought Kentucky as well. You know what, Samuel? Yeah, I think Kentucky for Olivia Miles. I think that would be a nice fit because I like Kenny Brooks, and Kenny Brooks managed Amore really well. So that was one of my wild cards on that. And then I don't know where they're placed with NIL. If they have a lot of NIL money they can use on her and get her there. That's the other thing. Is she looking to be like a hired assassin and get like the most NIL she can? Almost like how God, who was it that left North Carolina? Was it Deasia Kelly that went to Oregon? I assume she got a big NIL deal to go to Oregon. Or is she just looking to get that ring at all cost? And would she join a team like South Carolina or be the final piece or think she's the final piece for Duke? I just don't know. That's the thing that nobody knows. And why is she leaving Notre Dame? That's the funny thing. Yeah, Deasia. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I assume she got paid NIL. I'm assuming that's why she went to Oregon. Maybe she loves Oregon. Yeah, it's a big assumption by me. Yeah, but I think that yeah, that's the one. And just um, I think the big thing for South Carolina, yeah, can Dowda develop? Obviously, Edwards. I said when Edwards first went to South Carolina, I see her as like almost like a small forward eventually. And she showed some of that in this game, like her ball handling in the game before versus Texas. I see her as like a running small forward that's a nightmare for teams. So her and then Bree Hall and then Dowda and then their big. Who's their big that didn't get any playing time this year? Is she developing or not? God, what's the big's name? I've forgotten her name. Adele Tack. It's Adele Tack, isn't it? Yeah. So is Adele Tack developing? Will she be the next big because she can move and everything else, but she's raw. Like she came straight from Texas, injured, sort of did the thing like Chloe Kitts did, had that one injured year, like the spring semester to get her foot right, and then this was last year was or this year was really her first full year will she be ready to go next year? That's the question with her. Speaking of Chloe Kitts, so yeah, she struggled in this tournament, I reckon. Like, Chloe Kitts just isn't real tough. Um, just she struggles at times. Sometimes she can be great, but just if there's a one-on-one ball, like if there's going for a rebound, it's between her and Sarah Strong. Sarah Strong's getting that rebound, and if there's a chance to grab the ball and it's loose, Sarah Strong's gonna grab the ball and keep her feet and not be knocked off balance. But more often than not, when you watch uh, Chloe, she's going to get knocked off balance and sort of fumble. I've called it like she reminds me of like a baby giraffe learning how to walk, or sort of she just always seems a little bit off balance and always sort of falling, and like she's growing into her body almost. And but at times she can put up big numbers, but Kitts is an important part. Is she their five? And that's really what let South Carolina down this year, is once Watkins got injured, they just were not strong enough up front. They had basically Fagan, and Fagan's great. She's been like, I'm not going to rubbish Fagan because she stayed all 4 years. She was loyal and played the game, and I understand why Don Staley started her. But the key to that team was Ash Watkins, and I think South Carolina's repeat chances died when Ash Watkins, hurt her ACL when she ruptured her ACL, unfortunately for her. So that South Carolina needs to get Ash Watkins back. They need to get Adele Tack meaningful minutes, and then figure out, I guess, some sort of rotation between not Chloe Kitts and Joyce Edwards. Paige is the best player. Uh, Paige is the best player ever. Well, uh, yeah, that debate will happen. Is she better than Taurasi? Is she better than Maya Moore? They're all different. I think she's a great player. That's the thing. The good thing for her is now she can be called a great player. She doesn't get the Charles Barkley. Will UConn win another championship before Strong leaves for the yeah for the W? Yeah, I think so. I would have it's hard to repeat, and you have to stay injury free. But looking at UConn next year, you've got Fudd and Strong, so you got two, and you'd expect Fudd. The big thing for Fudd next year is to be more consistent. I'll just warn you as well. If my daughter comes in, I'm gonna have to end this stream quickly. All right, I'll probably get a phone call and end this stream quickly. Just a heads up. I'm not trying to be rude, but yeah, with AZ Fudd will be more consistent next year. Sarah Strong will just be much better. One of the best things I saw in the tournament, like a promising sign versus UCLA. Early in the game against UCLA, Strong was in transition. I think she had a chance to like dump a pass maybe to El Alfie, and she said, "Bugger that! I'm just gonna take it and do it." And I was like, "Yeah, there you go." They got in her ear, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna finish this because and you want to see more of that from Sarah Strong. She's almost too nice, giving away the passes." Talia Chambers, hey. Paige is the best player ever. You're right, Talia. That's a great call on Talia Chambers' part. Uh, you want to edit my video tonight, Talia? Will UConn win another championship? Yeah, I think they'll win the championship, and I think they've got a good shot next year if they stay healthy. And then will KK take over the reins as point guard? That's my question. So who will be the point guard, or will they try to move Ashlyn Shade there? I know somebody else is always suggesting Morgan Shelley, but I don't see Shelley next year being point guard. That'll be interesting, that point guard spot. Or are they going portaling and they're going to bring somebody through? Would UConn get Olivia Miles? I don't see that happening. I do not see that. Uh, I think Jana is going to be fine. Oriema was saying in one of the, how he does those side press conferences. Oriema was saying that Jana and Strong work really well together in practice and have really, really good moments. So I suspect it's just going to grow from there. I think this was a good year for Jana. She had her ups and downs, but I just think she's going to get better and better with more confidence. And at the very least, she'll just be a solid big that can play defense, won't foul as much, and just get better and better, and hopefully just slow herself down a little bit, because that's what they say. She just rushes herself. That's what makes Sarah Strong so great, and they all say it. She doesn't rush. Like, she's just never, ever rush. She takes her time, and it feels like she has forever, because she puts herself in such good position. Um, UConn's going to win for the next 4 years straight. I don't know about that. I think it's so hard in modern basketball. The parity thing, everything has to go right for you to win because now the talent's spread out more evenly. So if everybody stays healthy, then maybe, maybe, but that's a big call there. I don't see anybody going. I think it's a hell of an accomplishment if you can get back to back titles. So, which players from UConn are you expecting to hit the portal? I think it would be Q. I would say Q. I don't think Ice is going. I think Ice stays. I've been hard on Ice, but Ice, she did well. She showed up in the biggest game of the year against UCLA and gave him valuable minutes when Jana got in foul trouble. So I see Ice coming back. Yeah, so I see Jana going, and then I don't know what Caroline Ducharme is going to do. I don't know if she wants to go to like a smaller school and get more playing time, or just have a roll of the dice for one last go of it at big time basketball at UConn. I hope she stays. That's the one. And then, but Q, I definitely, of all of them, I see Q going, and I think it makes sense. Like, she's too good of a player to be sitting on the bench. If she's not going to get time, I don't know. That's a discussion for her and her family. Maybe she gets benefit from the practices and feels her improvement, but it would drive me crazy. Uh, don't doubt the power of UConn. I won't. Yes, Talia, I won't doubt the power of UConn. All right, but Paige Becker's in the W. Do they have enough, Talia? I like Q, but it doesn't work for her. I agree, and you can tell that Chelly moved ahead of her on the depth chart this year. So, um, yeah, Chelly definitely moved ahead of her on the depth chart. So, and then as well, they have Keona's coming in, and Keona's is sort of like the same sort of player that Q would be, just with more experience with international play. So yeah, I think it'll be really, I could see Q going. Who else is there? I don't see God, who's the guard? Who's the freshman guard? Zabel. Yeah, I don't see Zabel going. Yeah, I see. I don't. I see Ali Isabel sticking around, but I said it when she first signed here. I think it'll be a bit of a battle between her and Ashlyn Shade for minutes. So I'm curious to see what Isabel does next year, and then who else is there with the freshmen coming in? Yeah, the one that's most exciting, I think, is Keona's. Like, I think she'll be an interesting player. I'm curious to see uh, what is it, Gandhi Malu Mamel, what she'll look like next year, because when I saw her, she looked really, really raw. Uh, well, I think the one they won in the portal is Williams, supposedly. That's the one from Wisconsin. She's a big, she's 6'4", because the Wisconsin coach was moved on, like she resigned, but they were going to fire her. So the player for Williams, she's their center. I've forgotten her first. I think it's Sarah Williams, and she moves well. You could see her fitting quite well with UConn. So, but it's not only UConn. Everybody wants her. So yeah, I think everybody wants Williams for next year. Yeah, for sure. I think she's one of the highlight. Like, as far as big, she's the best big in the portal for next year for sure. Just plugging in my phone. God. All right. Can y'all still hear me all right? Talia. Is Gino still doing a good job at recruiting? Well, Talia, Gino doesn't recruit. His staff recruits. And as he says, his staff gets it done. They got the number one recruit last year. And all these people say it. Yeah, Gino's lost his touch. Recruits don't want to go there. Well, they got the number one recruit. You got Sarah Strong. You got Paige Beckers. And you got AZ Fudd. So, yeah, Gino can recruit, or his staff can recruit and get it done. But he likes international players, because international players aren't spoiled by all, or just totally looking for NIL because they can't get NIL. So if you got a Nico Mule, or you have a Quiones coming, the reason they're coming to UConn is because they want to be at UConn, and that's why he recruits that players. And other ones say, oh no, he only recruits the internationals because he can't get the top kids. It's like, come on, that's ridiculous. But UConn, the thing UConn does well is they're smart enough to say, hey, you're not going to work here. You don't want a player that's very sensitive going to UConn. So he figures out what players he wants and gets them. The whole debate with Caitlin Clark not coming to UConn, like they didn't recruit her, and the word is like Daniel Conley did an article on that was they thought she was a bit of a pouter, and she can pout. Like Bluter did a great job of developing Caitlin Clark. When she left, she was so much better at that, and she does so much better of a job. Like she turned into a great player. I'm sure if he could have his time over again, he would have brought her in. But as he said, I'd already committed to the number one recruit, Paige Beckers. I wasn't going to undermine that recruiting of her because she was my girl. You can't bring in Caitlin Clark with Paige Beckers, and nobody knew Caitlin Clark was going to be Caitlin Clark. So I don't begrudge him on that. So yeah, in short, Talia, Gino can recruit, his staff can recruit, and what they do so well is they put a vision in their mind what they want their team to look like, and he gets the pieces. So that's why I'm a little bit skeptical on judging the recruiting class that he's bringing in because he sees how he wants to put the pieces together. He really is a maestro of a coach. Like we're seeing one of the best coaches of all time basically paint. Gino doesn't have time to deal with human emotion. He has championships to win. So, well, I don't think that's fair, Dahlia. I think what he does is he just says, "Hey, you're coming to UConn. I'm going to be a hard ass on you. You're either going to take to it, and I'm really going to work you, and you're going to get used to it, or you shouldn't be here." And to be truthful, like AZ Fudd, they talked about this in the broadcast a bit. It was interesting. Like AZ Fudd, he thought that she was pretty sensitive, and so after the first year, after she had a bad championship game, the next year and through her injuries, he just totally backed off on AZ Fudd, and just said, she needs her confidence built. And then AZ Fudd came to him this year and said, why aren't you coaching me hard? And he was like, that was a great sign. It was like Fudd wants me to get into her and really go after her and do what I normally do, and that's sort of the sign of mental growth that you're not when somebody criticizes you, it's not that they're having a go at you, but it's that you're learning, that they're trying to make you better, and it's a reflection on what you need to get better at. So that's my take on that. But Gino doesn't have time to deal with human emotions because really, Talia, Gino is like a master psychologist. Like he deals with all of his different players better, and I think he's done well. That's what he does best is figure out what he needs to do with what players and what makes them tick to get them going, and that's why he's had so much success, and that's why they all talk about him, and the majority of the players come back and swear by him. So that's all I need. So yeah, I don't agree with your human emotion comment there. I think that's a bit unfair against Gino, especially the night after he wins a national championship. So there you go. Um, yes, Gino is hard on all, as all the coaches must be. I read an interview of Strong about Lake calling her mother crying about how hard Gino was at the training, and tell her that she's not good enough. Yeah, that's what he does. Like in one of the interviews, like Paige Beckers did a great Gino impersonation. Like I think it was in Fudd's like freshman year. He's like, AZ got the Gino treatment today, and like she did the imitation. It was like, God, I'll do the thing, but um, it was like, AZ Fudd, come here, and Paige Beckers did a perfect imitation of it. It was so good. It was so good. Um, hey Talia, is Allie in Canberra yet? Strong about Lake calling her mother crying, and you go to UConn, you're gonna be in tears. What was it Lobo said after what was that movie where the the band teacher was crazy? Um, Remember that one? What was it? What was that movie? The band teacher is really, really crazy with all of his students. Um, it was recent. God, what was it? And Rebecca Lobo said that teacher reminds me of you. And that's sort of Gino, but not that bad, obviously. But his whole mantra is, "I'm going to push you. You're going to come here, and we're going to work you hard. And if it goes, you come to UConn, you're going to get first class, but you're going to have to work first class as well." Yeah, Deladon left that. Like, she didn't even make it through. She was there for like 3 or 4 days and just bugged out. Didn't she go to like God, where'd she go? She didn't. She went to some north. Yeah, where'd she wind up going to school in the end? Like, I can't remember that. Yeah, but yeah, it was amazing. Deladon was almost at UConn, but didn't even last in the dorm. All right, I'm gonna have to wrap this up. So again, wasn't expecting anybody to turn on to this live stream. Definitely was not expecting that. I just thought I'm here in the airport because I got my times wrong by 30 minutes. I was like, I'll do a stream and edit it later and try to turn this into a video. Delaware, thank you. Thank you, Talia. Do you want to edit the video tonight for me, Talia? Delaware, that's right. Okay. All right, I'll see y'all later. How do I end this? Okay.